All right, let's dive right in. Today we're talking about the Stick Friends Ultimate Blooper Reel and trying to answer a really simple question. Why is it that the mistakes are often so much more fun than the perfect final version? It's a great question, so let's get into it.
I mean, think about it. What's actually funnier than a scene that goes perfectly? Every line is delivered flawlessly, every bit of animation is smooth. What could possibly be better than that?
Well, how about a perfectly broken one? See, the magic, the real good stuff, it's not in the flawless execution. It's in that spectacular, absolutely hilarious moment where it all just falls apart. And that's the joy we're going to be digging into today.
Okay, so let's do it. We are going to deconstruct the Stick Friends Blooper Reel. We're going to break down the different kinds of mistakes to figure out what exactly makes them so captivating.
So, when you look at these bloopers, they pretty much fall into three main buckets. First, you've got your failed takes. That's all about the human performance side of things. Then you have animation glitches, which are, the total wildcards from the digital world. And finally, my favorite, the super meta stuff, the behind-the-scenes moments where characters totally break character. We're going to tackle them one by one. All right, first up, the failed take. This is where you see that little bit of human error, that little imperfection pop up in this perfectly polished digital world.
Okay, to really get what a failed take is, you gotta understand how an animated scene is even made, right? It all starts with the voice recording. You've got an actor in a booth, they mess up a line, they start laughing, or they cough, and that little moment becomes the seed for the blooper. Because the entire animation is built around that performance, when the voice cracks, the whole animated reality kind of cracks right along with it.
And that right there is the key. A failed take isn't just a mistake. It's a flash of authenticity. It's that little crack in the perfect, polished surface that suddenly reminds you, hey, there's a real, messy human being behind that animated character. And paradoxically, it actually makes the whole thing feel more real.
Okay, next up, and this is my personal favorite, the art of the glitch. Oh man, this is where things get weird. This isn't about a human messing up a line. This is about the machine itself just deciding to go rogue, and the results are often hilarious.
So what are we talking about when we say animation glitch? Well, it's a totally technical breakdown. The software just, gets its wires crossed, a render goes sideways, and the basic laws of physics in that animated world just completely shatter. It's pure, glorious digital chaos. And this is where you see the sheer absurdity of it all. On one side, you've got the plan, right? Simple, logical stuff. And on the other side, the glitch. A character doesn't just walk. Nope, they melt into the floor. They don't just wave hello, their arm stretches out into a cosmic noodle across the universe. It's like unintentional, surrealist art, and it is so funny because you just never ever see it coming.
And that brings us to our third and final type of blooper. This is where it gets really, really meta. This is where the blooper reel stops just being about mistakes and starts becoming a comment on itself. We're talking about breaking character.
So when we're watching the show, we all buy into the idea that the Stick Friends are real, right? They live in their own little universe. But the blooper reel just playfully smashes that idea to pieces. It reframes them not as characters, but as performers, as actors on a set who just happen to be drawings. It's such a clever little twist.
This quote just nails it perfectly. The characters are acting out their role. That phrase implies they're self-aware, that it's all a performance. The blooper reel is essentially pulling back the curtain, suggesting the Stick Friends know they're in a show. It's an amazing way to shatter that fourth wall.
So, we've looked at failed takes, we've seen those bizarre glitches, and we've talked about characters basically being actors. Which brings us to the big question, right? Why do we love this stuff so much? What is the real appeal of all these flaws?
It really all boils down to connection. Bloopers show us the human hand behind the curtain. They find comedy where you'd least expect it. And they don't just make us laugh, they actually deepen our connection to the creators by celebrating vulnerability. When you see the struggle, that perfect final product feels so much more earned.
And at the end of the day, that's the big takeaway here. A flaw isn't a failure. It's a signature. It's the fingerprint of the artist, the animator, the actor. These little imperfections, they don't ruin the art, they show you where its heart is.
So I'll just leave you with this to chew on. In our constant, relentless push for perfection, are we sometimes polishing away the very thing, that messy, human, vulnerable part that makes a piece of art truly special? Something